morning. Good morning. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. My name is Jennifer McCracken, and I am the head pastor of the Manna Community, which is a community for unhoused and unsheltered folks here in the city of Boston. We are so delighted to have you all here today at the Cathedral Church of St. Paul for this amazing announcement. So thank you, everybody, for being here, and I am so honored to introduce my friend and Boston's Chief of Housing, Sheila Dillon.
Thank you, Reverend McCracken, and thank you for you and all of the colleagues here at St. Paul's Cathedral. We have learned a lot from you, and you really are the example for so many institutions in Boston, what you do with our unsheltered population. So I just really, really want to thank you so much for your work. For folks that don't know me, my name is Sheila Dillon. I am Chief of Housing for the City of Boston, and I'm really happy to be here today. I was worried about there not being a crowd last night, so I'm texting everybody, hey, could you please show up? Can you please show up? It's kind of important. We are a community. And I walked in, I was like, I did not need to be nervous at all, so that's great. But the first speaker is the one who's going to make this all very official. So I'd like to introduce Richard Cho, who is Senior Advisor to HUD Secretary Marcia Fudge. In this role, a very, very important role, national role, he advises, designs, and advances our strategies as a country on how to get our unsheltered and our people living in shelter into housing. But probably for Boston, it's even more important. I would consider Richard Cho our friend. We have him on speed dial if we need something sort of like it's official and we need a HUD response. But we also really rely on him day in, day out just to give us really good advice. And he is going to speak, but he is joined today. We are joined today with Juana Mathis, who I've just had the opportunity to meet, and I really want to get to know more as our Regional Director of HUD. So with no further ado, Richard Cho.
Good morning. Good morning. That's not a very good Boston good morning. Let's try it again. Good morning. Good morning. All right. When you got this many people in the room, you got to hear some volume. So I'm so excited to be here today. It's great to be back in Boston. This is a city that believes that homelessness should not exist. This is a city that believes that every Bostonian and every American deserves to have a safe and stable place to call home. And I'm really pleased that I work for a president and for a HUD secretary, Marcia Fudge, who also believes that homelessness has no place in America, the greatest nation on earth. And from day one of this administration, the president and Secretary Fudge have prioritized efforts to end homelessness. In President Biden's first legislative initiative, the American Rescue Plan, he put in $10 billion, that's a billion with a B, to address homelessness, including over 70,000 emergency housing vouchers and home ARP dollars to help communities to build more housing to address the nation's homelessness crisis. And Secretary Fudge also launched a new initiative called House America, where she called on mayors and county leaders and governors across the country to partner with HUD to address the crisis of homelessness and to set specific commitments to address homelessness by placing people out of the shelters and off the streets into permanent homes and to build more dedicated units of housing. And the city of Boston answered that call, and Mayor Wu, you answered that call, and Secretary Fudge just thanks you for your commitment. And Boston not only joined that initiative, but also set and achieved its goals, placing over 1,000 people into housing over a 15-month period and adding over 700 units of dedicated housing to the pipeline. In addition, yes, we should applaud that. But over the years, what Boston's done here has been remarkable. You've built a system, an effective system for connecting people rapidly from homelessness to housing, and that is the vision for how to address homelessness that this administration has been supporting. But we also know that there are many people who continue to sleep on our streets and on park benches and under bridges and in some places in riverbanks. There are people who are experiencing what we call unsheltered homelessness. And we know that over the last few years, we've seen rates of unsheltered homelessness rise in this country. And so this administration's leaned in and said, we know that we can't address unsheltered homelessness without specific resources and strategies to reach those very vulnerable people who are suffering, who are our neighbors, but who have significant health challenges and face greater risk of mortality. And so the latest step in that HUD has taken to address the crisis of homelessness is to lean in and help communities address the crisis of unsheltered homelessness. A few weeks ago, we announced awards to about 62 communities who are receiving $486 million in grant dollars to pay for permanent housing, supportive services, homeless outreach, and to leverage partnerships with healthcare and public housing agencies. We also awarded an allocation of $43 million to fund new housing vouchers that are dedicated to addressing homelessness. I want to shout out actually to Danielle Bastarash, who's here. She's the Deputy Assistant Secretary for Policy at our Office of Public and Indian Housing. I think this is a really unprecedented step that we took where we coordinated grant dollars that are provided through one part of HUD with housing vouchers that are provided through Danielle's part of HUD and coordinated those through a coordinated allocation to help communities specifically address the crisis of unsheltered homelessness, people in encampments, people who sleep in vehicles, and people who sleep on the streets. I'm really pleased today that we have selected Boston through a very competitive process to receive grants. And today we're announcing that we're providing Boston with its full ask of over $16 million. Alongside an allocation to both Boston and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts for over 700 stability vouchers that we've coordinated. And together, these resources will enable the city of Boston to address the crisis of unsheltered homelessness. Again, I know the mayor has taken incredible leadership in addressing homelessness, not only through House America, but also in the efforts to address the mass and caste encampment and to bring more housing resources to people who are sleeping in the streets as well as shelters. I'm really pleased that we're able to provide, this is not a gift, Mayor, but an investment in your work, additional resources that will enable you to finish the job of bringing people not only from streets and into temporary housing, but ultimately into permanent homes with the supportive services they need to rebuild their lives. So on behalf of HUD, Secretary Fudge, President Biden, Vice President Harris, I just want to congratulate the City of Boston on this incredible historic award and wish you continued success in your efforts to address homelessness.
Thank you, Richard, and thank you all. This is just a great, great day in Boston. So I just want to tick off a few of my city colleagues that are here, but really call them out for their extraordinary work. As Richard said, this funding was extremely competitive, and many city departments came together to put together this impactful application. First, from the Mayor's Office of Housing, I just want to recognize Lila Bernstein, Jim Green, Bia Morea, Rick Wilson, and many other critical staff that are here, but there are too many to mention. We also worked very closely with the BHA, who is bringing a significant amount of housing resources and expertise to this effort. I especially want to recognize Administrator Kate Bennett, David Gleish, Gail Livingston, Barbara Sheeran, and Joe Wool. And I did see Kenzie Bach in the background, so they got you the money. You'll be able to spend it. I would be amiss if I didn't mention our Public Health Commission, Boston Public Health Commission, who was very supportive of this effort and is a very important strategic partner. Michelle Clark, Jerry Thomas, and I just saw Dr. Ojikutu. Yes, it's wonderful that you are here and really are going to be so important as we continue to work to get our unsheltered off the street. So I really want to thank them for their ongoing support. Some of the new resources that it's being announced today will be used to continue the ongoing work at MassCAS, and we're pleased that Tanya Del Rio, a director of the Coordinated Response Team at MassCAS, is also with us today. Very good. I also see in the back Mike Firestone, who is hands in everything, but it's good to see you here, Mike. So I just want to introduce the mayor. As Richard said, really, Mayor Wu has been very, very focused on our homeless. It goes without saying that Mayor Wu has made a commitment to housing our unsheltered populations. She knows well, and we're getting some of the pushback from some of the communities, et cetera, but knows well that to end homelessness, we have to build supportive housing. We have to place our homeless in units. She also knows that we really need the support of all of our health and behavioral health institutions to make sure those tenancies are successful. So without further ado, Mayor Wu.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for the incredible work that you do every day and for taking the time today to be with us for this incredible announcement. We're so excited always to see Richard and your team. It wasn't that long ago that we were right outside on the streets here in Boston during the annual census of unsheltered residents here in the city, and the fact that you took the time to come to Boston then, along with your team members, really shows just how much you and this administration are boots on the ground in seeing what's happening city by city and then providing the resources to help us be the best possible partners that we can. So we're so grateful and so honored to see you here once again. Thank you to all the team members that our great chief just highlighted across many different departments and cabinets in City Hall. We truly are tackling this as an interconnected, intersectional, cross-silo necessity for residents and the city. And thank you so much to Reverend McCracken and everyone at St. Paul's for hosting us here, and more importantly, for making the space one where our unhoused residents can also seek shelter and services through your partnership with Back Home. So thank you for your leadership. I think what you may hear from everyone who will be speaking up here today, incredible leaders who have seen firsthand the impacts, the challenges, the needs, and are coming at this from every angle, from the housing side, from the health side, from the community side. This is the most pressing challenge of our city, of our country, I would say right now, and of our time. Housing is the foundation for everything else that we are trying to do to keep communities healthy and safe and connected. And here in Boston, that means we are putting every ounce of energy, every tool, every resource, trying to grab onto every lever to move us in a direction where we can truly be a city that models what it means to end homelessness, to provide housing for people from every step along the income spectrum, and to make every neighborhood in Boston a welcoming, safe, and thriving community. Last year, under the leadership of folks with Sheila's team and many others, Boston permitted the most ever the greatest number of affordable housing units in 25 years. That was not an accident. It's been made possible because of a diligent focus on housing as the place where we need to devote our federal recovery dollars, our community efforts, our state partnerships. And so we've been using this very precious funding that we've been able to secure from a number of different sources to not only create more housing and especially affordable housing in partnership with community providers, but to ensure that we are speeding up our processes for approving that housing, making a commitment and signing an executive order to cut in half the amount of time that it takes to approve an affordable housing development. We're going very carefully through our zoning code to make it easier and more predictable to build housing and make it affordable. We're putting up city-owned land and have looked at every square foot of municipal land or existing buildings for redevelopment or parking lots that the city may own that could be homes to hundreds, thousands of residents who deserve to have every opportunity here in the city of Boston. We're partnering with organizations like the Pine Street Inn as they are living out their strategies and national success in demonstrating housing first. And we're looking to stabilize Boston's renters in their homes, to generate more resources through state legislation like a transfer fee that would enable us to keep this funding stream going even after the ARPA program and some of the pandemic recovery programs have ended. We need to sustain this momentum long past the COVID recovery period. And we're also looking to provide that greatest form of stability, providing ways to make it easier for people to become homeowners, directly from the Boston Housing Authority, directly from community partnerships, assisting people with down payments and mortgages. This is a city where we are going to truly be a safe harbor and home for everyone. Okay, now I'm going to go back to my notes, sorry. Housing is the foundation for a stable life. Without stable housing, it's difficult, if not impossible, to find stable work. Without stable work, it's difficult, if not impossible, to keep a roof over your head and food on the table. And that's why this administration, I'm proud to work alongside colleagues who have really taken an interdepartmental approach to address homelessness, a key part of our housing challenge here in Boston. We're prioritizing connecting people to long-term and permanent housing and providing wraparound services to keep residents housed, with services like professional resources and job training, mental and physical health care, to ensure that people don't just have safe places to sleep, but everything they need to thrive once they've moved in. This $16.5 million grant from HUD that we're celebrating here today will help Boston build on that work and bring partners together around an intentional citywide plan to end unsheltered homelessness. These funds will create new permanent supportive housing units and connect existing housing with more wraparound services. Our partners in the healthcare sector and our Continuum of Care network have been providing this for years, and I want to thank the many partners here from that sector and funders who are here today for committing and partnering to invest more than $18 million to help formerly unhoused residents stabilize in housing and improve their health. We're also working with residents with lived experience of homelessness to better understand the challenges and better provide resources and services to close gaps and build out that network of care. With this funding from HUD, we are putting resources to meeting unhoused residents where they are and tackling each of these challenges, from building more permanent housing units to maintaining the units that we have to creating low-barrier housing vouchers and medical stabilization services. And so I want to congratulate the organizations who are receiving this grant: Elliott Human Services, the Boston Housing Authority, Pine Street Inn, Ecumenical Social Action Committee, and Family Aid Boston. Together with all of these partners, our city, our state, federal government, and organizations, we are going to work together to provide housing and services to more than 370 residents across our city with this funding. And so thank you again to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, our partners at the state, and all of our nonprofit and healthcare partners for recognizing that there is no single solution for homelessness, no single organization, department, or administration that can do this alone, but that it must be done, and we must solve this together. And so we're very excited to combine efforts, combine resources, and tackle every aspect of this challenge together so that each of our residents has the care, comfort, and community that they deserve right here in Boston. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. So when the city needs advice and guidance on policies and actions to end homelessness, we rely on Back Home, an advisory made up of individuals with lived experiences. Throughout this application process, Back Home provided invaluable advice, and it appears that the advice worked because we were successful. It's an honor to ask advisory member Delphina Bizel to join us and say a few words. Thank you.
Good morning, Mayor Wu, staff, and members of the press. My name is Delphia Bizel, and this right here is my wonderful husband, Terry Wayne Bizel. It is with great humbleness and honor to be among you today. There's a quote I have followed all my life and serves as a big inspiration to me. I don't remember who said it, but it goes like this. You see things as they are and ask why. I see things that never were and ask why not. The simple quote has always instilled hope and faith in me that all things will work out. Terry and I needed this faith and this hope when we came to Boston in the November of 2017, because all we had was the clothes on our back. We were homeless, and after we lived in Kentucky, and after my mother passed away and we lost our home, we came to Boston for a new start. After Terry's sister sent for us and told us we could stay with her until we got on our feet. Well, our stay was cut short because after only 9 days, she put us out. To this very day, we don't know why she did this, especially after a 24-inch snowfall and wind chill factor of 4 degrees. And at this time, it was not easy for me to walk because I had to use a walker, and Terry had a hip replaced that would lock up on him whenever he got cold. We walked around the Back Bay area and slept in the doorway of Star Market, and every time the door opened, the wind would rush in and freeze us. This went on for 3 days until we got in touch with his cousin in Charlestown, and who told us we were welcome to come and stay with her. But again, and only 2 weeks after we were there, she put us out in another snowstorm and major wind. We found ourselves again walking the streets the Back Bay area in Copley. Terry never rested. He always was stayed awake, watching out, making sure that I was safe. And so after we were put out by his cousin in Charlestown, we needed to get warm. So we went to the lobby of the Marriott Hotel for another 3 days. And when we were spotted by the security, and the security told us that we had to leave. So we made our way to Haymarket, and we sat in there drinking coffee, and then Terry said to me to find us a shelter. So I searched Google, and I called around to shelters to see if they had beds for couples. Soon we found out that in Boston there were no shelters for couples. And this tore our hearts because after 27 years of marriage, we had to be separated, and we have never been separated. I knew no one or nothing about Boston, and Terry hadn't been here in 24 years. We wound up at the Woods Mullen Shelter and the 112 Southampton Men's Shelter after struggling to keep up with a young couple that was heading to the same place, showing us the way. It was a difficult trek for us because of our disabilities and a small suitcase with worn wheels and walking through 24 inches of snow. After finally making it into Woods Mullen in the dark, and Terry was sure I was safe and I had a bed, he decided he left to go and find 112 on his own in the dark. This was dramatic because upon entering the shelter, the first thing we were told was it would be 5 years before we could get a home. Imagine being separated from the one you love for 5 years. We were blessed, however, after diligent work, support, and of being loving partners, and HARF and Home Start, when we got our place in Chinatown. And instead of 5, we got it in 2 years. And we've kept it for 3 years now. Thank you. We were so elated when we got our keys that we did not go back to the shelters and slept in an empty apartment for 2 weeks. Nothing can replace the feeling of having your own place, and everyone deserves a home of their own. Which is why when the MOH, Jim Green, Lila, and Bia came to Back Home and asked if we would like to help review the proposals being submitted to HUD for the $16.5 million. We at Back Home considered this a challenge worth undertaking for our brothers and sisters on the street who didn't have the support of loved ones or faith in Jehovah that brings great hope and strength. So at Back Home, we believe that ending homelessness is within our reach if the whole village works together. And this $16.5 million split between the agencies represented in the proposal is a strong beginning. I am so grateful for all the support my husband and I received here in Boston. But as I said, my husband and I believe that everyone deserves a home of their own. And that is why Terry and I and the rest of my Back Home committee were honored and pleased to help review the grant proposal that the City of Boston submitted to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. And I'd just like to say thank you again for this gift, and we look forward to continued collaboration between Back Home and the City of Boston to help our most vulnerable neighbors. And thank you.
Thank you so much, Delphina. The work from Back Home is really, like I've said, but I'll say it again, it is invaluable, and it grounds us, and it gives us such good advice in all of our work. I'd like now to just introduce Keith Wales, Director of Homelessness and Outreach Services at the Elliott Community Health Center. I'd like to call him up to speak, but before I do that, I can honestly say that Keith and his team, and I wrote this morning and I thought twice, but they're miracle workers. And I will say it and I'll stand by it. They're able to successfully house individuals with significant barriers, and they rarely give up, even when the odds seem insurmountable. They take on some of the hardest cases with some of the individuals that have been through so much, and it's difficult. It's a tough housing climate in Boston, but they don't give up. They continue to work. They work with landlords. They get landlords to accept, and I can't thank them enough for their partnership. So please, Keith.
Good morning, everybody. We at Elliott are grateful and proud to be in partnership with Mayor Wu, the City of Boston, and HUD to implement the next chapter of innovative housing solutions for the most vulnerable among us. Behind each person who becomes housed, there's a village that includes highly supportive and dedicated city officials and teams, state agencies, and key partnerships with community-based providers across this wonderful city. Many of whom are in this room. The collaboration across these entities, especially with the Massachusetts Housing and Shelter Alliance, Commonwealth Care Alliance, has been the light I continue to follow. On a personal note, I'd also like to acknowledge the village outside of my work life. My wife, Alex, is here, and I love you. I'd also like to take a brief moment to thank Elliott's Boston-based leadership, many are in this room. With unwavering compassion, creativity, and unrelenting determination, you breathe life into our collective ideas, and I could not be more honored and privileged to work alongside of you. I'd also like to thank Elliott's leadership, including my own supervisor, Aaron Katz, who's here, for their flexibility, their support, and at times their patience. We are in a shared pivotal moment in addressing unsheltered homelessness in Boston. This opportunity before us builds upon Boston's rich history of solving complex problems. Together with the City of Boston, Boston Medical Center, and the Massachusetts Housing and Shelter Alliance, our partners within this wonderful initiative, we will create a supportive housing model that addresses underlying behavioral health and medical concerns at a new level, a model we hope to replicate with time. In closing, in my 26 years of human services work, I have never been more optimistic about the road ahead. I thank you all in this room, in the City of Boston, Mayor Wu, from the bottom of my heart for this opportunity. We will not let you down. Thank you.
I believe that to be true. I don't. We're coming to an end, but as the mayor mentioned, this application was successful because the number of healthcare providers and institutions that committed over $18 million in healthcare to assist our unsheltered populations. It is their ability to see the intersection of health and housing that will make this effort truly a success. Now, I've debated this back and forth, but I'll do it very quickly. I just want to tick off the institutions that have come forward with services and actual money for this effort. Boston Medical Center, Boston Public Health Commission, Boston Healthcare for the Homeless, Massachusetts Behavioral Health Partnership, Harvard Street Neighborhood Health Center, VA Boston, and of course, our Mass Health. Emily Cooper is here representing the state, kind of Mass Health. We could not do this work without them. In addition, the Mass General Hospital committed $600,000 in new flexible funding dedicated to this initiative, and I do want to invite up Elsie Tavares to say a few words. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you for having us here and inviting us to be part of this, this announcement. I am so pleased to be here, not only on behalf of Mass General Brigham and the incredibly robust healthcare organizations across the city and the state, to be able to join in this exciting announcement and to join the City of Boston, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, and all of you in our ongoing efforts to address homelessness in Boston. As a pediatrician who has cared for children of the City of Boston for over 25 years, as a community health practitioner, I can tell you that what the mayor said is absolutely true. Homelessness is foundational. Homelessness, unsheltered homelessness, means far more than not just having a place to call home. My own patients, the patients that I care for, the children that I care for, the patients that we develop community programs with addiction, who are struggling with substance use disorder. Homelessness is connected to declines in physical and mental health and high rates of chronic illnesses. I can tell you that the children that I have cared for over my 25 years of being a pediatrician in this city, they can't learn, they can't be healthy, they can't thrive and achieve the thriving and the wellness and their potential if they do not have a home. It's incredibly personal for me because of all of the children that I have cared for, the families that I have seen the city assist us with. And I cannot tell you how incredibly proud I am that Mass General Hospital, and through our determination of need, that this was one of the first investments and the first opportunity out the door of our historic investment in community health to be approved by our Community Advisory Board. And I just want to take a second to say that. So as many of you know, we broke ground, and thank you, Mayor Wu, for joining us. Massachusetts General Hospital began construction last year of a new clinical building in Boston, and this project has brought millions of dollars, will bring millions of dollars in funding for community health, representing a historic investment in our community. We at Mass General Brigham are incredibly proud, as I said, that one of the first commitments and investments was for this opportunity and to lend our support to the city to be able to apply for this grant. And I cannot thank the HUD, the Housing and Urban Development, enough for recognizing the leadership of Boston and our organizations and coming together for this. So I cannot thank enough our Community Advisory Board members, some of whom are here today, to recognize what an incredible opportunity this was to lend our support. I also want to acknowledge the members of our community health team, Leslie Aldrich, who's here, and Sally Mason-Bamer from our leadership at Massachusetts General Hospital. We know we cannot tackle these challenges alone, and I want to commend the incredible leadership we have in Boston. We are very lucky and fortunate to have our Mayor, Michelle Wu, Chief Dillon, and of course, Jim Green, for your tireless efforts to care for and bring resources to the City of Boston and for those who are experiencing unsheltered homelessness. We're thankful for your leadership, your engagement with the community, your recognition that we need to tackle housing as the root cause for the crisis, and for the support you are seeking every day to provide those who are experiencing homelessness. We look forward to working alongside all of you, to caring for those patients and for the community members who need us most, and being your partners throughout the entire process. So thank you so much for having us and for allowing us to be part of the celebration today. Thank you.
Thank you to all the health organizations that have really stepped up. Before we close, I do want to recognize Senator Edwards, who is here from the state. And do you want to come up, Lydia, and just say a few words? Senator Edwards, newly elected senator, but I already feel like we've got a housing champion at the state, which is calling a lot. We're going to get additional resources and very important legislation passed. I'm counting on it. So.
It's no pressure. She's my former boss. So I had the honor to work for Sheila Dillon when I was the founding director of the Office of Housing Stability. And before that, at Legal Services, we worked with the city of Boston oftentimes. Today, I'm the chair of housing on the Joint Committee. I represent the Senate side, and it's an honor to be able to be part of this partnership, to see the state and the federal government and the city of Boston together making a joint investment. And as you can see and have heard from many people, the return on that investment is immeasurable. It's about people recover better when they are housed. People learn better. Children learn better when they're housed. People are healthier when they're housed. It's a mental health issue. It's a health issue, period, to have housing. And so it is just incredible to be part of that partnership. Yes, I have my eye on the ball. Mayor Wu, transfer fee, I'm on it. Yes, we have a lot of things to work on. Just to let you know, at the State House, the House has done their budget. It's a lot of investment in housing. The Senate, which I'm part of, will be doing that to complement. But what I saw working here, what all of you see as city workers working here, is that a housing crisis in Boston is a statewide housing crisis. It is one that you can reflect and see everyone from all over the state, if not New England. And so to invest in Boston is to invest in New England and to invest in all of the states. So thank you so much, congratulations, and I look forward to working with you.
Thank you. And we do expect big things, so there is some pressure. I'm going to close now, but on a very personal note, I do want to thank HUD once again for the opportunity and believing in the Boston community. We are not going to let you down. And I also want to thank all the providers that are here today that are going to be doing this work. It's a wonderful community, and I feel like this resource, this new resource, is really going to motivate us, and we're going to look at things differently, look at things anew, and be better and bolder than we ever have been. So thank you so much for being here today. I think there's a picture with a check. All right, so I guess if we could, yes, HUD brought a big check. I love it. I like those traditions. So folks that are, I think the folks that have received the money and the health organizations that are providing the resource and city partners, if you could all come up. Anyone, come up, whoever you want. Come on up.
And if HUD colleagues can also come up and please as well.
Yeah.
Seriously, I have no idea. We just need to make for
Hi, Frank.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Wish.
It's good. It's good visual. Like so many people behind it. Whoa, there's like a lot of cameras.